The reenactments and commentary in this program may contain frank talk of a sexual nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Peter Pan or Captain Hook? Neverland secrets are revealed through some pretty riveting testimony, folks. Hello, I'm James Curtis. Welcome to E's exclusive coverage of the Michael Jackson trial. The prosecution presses on, pressing forward, calling Louise Palanker to the stand. She's a comedian who helped the accuser's family after the teenager became ill. Assistant District Attorney Gordon Auchincloss asked Palanker about a disturbing phone call she received from the accuser's mother soon after the Bashir documentary hit the air. Here's what the jury heard, according to the courtroom transcripts.
Okay, can you tell me anything else about her emotional demeanor during this phone call?
She may have been crying at some point in the conversation. She was very frightened.
Can you characterize her level of emotion in relation to Janet's normal demeanor?
Well, Janet's a very emotional person, but this was different. She's usually emotional in a very ebullient, happy, charming type personality. And this was fear. This is fear-based agitation.
Were you concerned?
It was an extremely disturbing phone call.
Tell me what she said.
Objection. Hearsay.
A spontaneous statement also offered for the state of mind of one of the victims, or should I say Janet?
All right, I'll allow the statement.
She started by saying, Wheezy, if you have caller ID, this is not a safe line. Don't call me back here. They're listening to everything I say.
Did she go on to tell you more?
She said, these people are evil. They're keeping us. I would say, where are the children? Well, the children are with me. I said, are the children in school? She said, no, and that's when she started crying. I said, can I come and see you? She said no. She wanted me to come and get them and meet them at...
Just a moment. Now you've gone beyond the proposed.
Oh, sorry.
You've gone beyond your offer of proof, and I'll stop her at that point. And I'll advise the jury that the statements that the witness just related to you, that Janet said, are to be used by you only for the purpose of establishing Janet's state of mind, not for the truth of the matter that Janet stated.
Next, the comedian or comedienne did some dialing of her own.
Were you concerned after this phone call?
Yes, I was concerned enough to call my lawyer immediately following the phone call.
Why were you concerned?
She told me that they were going to send her...
Objection.
Offered to explain the witness's conduct.
Hearsay.
The objection is sustained.
Did you do anything? Did you take any action after this phone call?
I told her to call me tomorrow at noon, and I would meet her at a location that we had predetermined.
And did you ever receive the phone call?
No, I didn't.
I should say from Janet the following day or any other day after that.
No, I didn't.
During that time period, did you take her remarks seriously?
Yes, I did.
Did you call anybody after this phone call?
Just my lawyer.
Why did you call your lawyer?
I felt that they were being held against their will.
All right, folks, we got a bunch of issues going on, and I can hardly contain myself, so let me try to be calm and let you all get a little excited. What we have here is a lot of testimony about opinions about what the mother of the alleged accuser thought, did, how she was feeling. Let's start with the first issue. How is this stuff even coming into this courtroom?
None of us have any idea.
I don't understand. We're all confused. Why is Mesereau not objecting, and why is the judge allowing this? You know the answer to that.
We know why the judge is allowing it. This evidence would not come in 99.99% of the courtrooms in the nation.
Now, let's be clear. Why do you think, and we've heard it before, let's say it again for the benefit of those who may not have been watching the entire series of discussions that we've had, why do you think it's coming in?
Why do I think it's coming in? Because I think the judge is allowing it to come in. What the government's trying to do is paint a picture through this woman's testimony about what the mother feels.
That's very interesting.
Very good.
It's not only what the mother feels, though. What even gets worse is we have this witness being able to give an opinion on the ultimate issue of the charge, that is false imprisonment. She says she believed they were being held against their will. You couldn't get an expert to basically testify as to that.
She's some sort of expert in a number of ways, as we'll see. And who is she?
Now, let's be clear for those non-lawyers out there watching us. The reason why this information would not be allowed is because civilians, normal everyday folks that don't have a bunch of degrees behind their names and are expert, don't usually get to give opinions on stuff that they don't personally know to be true, or stuff that's not just everyday stuff, like somebody's just being excited.
Or
right?
somebody would have to lay some foundation. There'd have to be some reason for allowing this testimony in. None of that takes place here. The question is asked, and she says, well, I thought they were being held against their will. She doesn't say why, she doesn't say how.
And it's irrelevant what she thought.
Right.
She is not a person who is a victim here. If there is a victim here, the victims would be the children and the mother. Then we get to your first issue, which is how does all this stuff from the mother even come in? And the judge says to the jury, oh, okay, don't consider it for the truth of the matter asserted. Just think about it as her state of mind. Come on.
We're going to see if they obviously, being able to split that intellectual hair is something that juries typically don't do. They just take it for what they hear. In earlier testimony, though, the comedian Louise Palanker, don't even want to say the woman's name right, she told how she initially volunteered to help the accuser's family and who it was that pushed her for more help.
Tell me why you wrote a check for $10,000 to Janet.
Why I made it out to her, or why?
No, why you gave them a check for $10,000. What was the purpose?
Because I was in a position where I could help this family, and I didn't want Gavin to ever be alone in the hospital. And I didn't see how a family of their means would be able to take off work and be with him if I didn't do this.
Had anybody influenced you in any way to give that $10,000 check to the...
No, it was fairly spontaneous. It just a decision I made after I saw Gavin and what the situation entailed and would entail for this family. And I just decided on my own to do it.
Did you have any strings attached to this check, to the giving of this check in terms of what the money had to be used for?
No.
And what did you envision the money would be used for?
So that he could support his family. He has 2 other children and a wife, and so he could support them and not have to be at work every day.
So you didn't have any rules about what they spent that money on?
No, I didn't.
Did you later become aware of anything that the used that $10,000 for?
I sent my contractor down to the home in El Monte, and when the room was finished, they wanted me to come see it, and so I did. I went to see the room.
And what did you see when you got there? Well, maybe I should ask you first. Did you go see the room?
Yes, I did.
And what did you see when you got there?
It was a very small room in a suburban tract home in El Monte, and they had... I don't know what the room looked like before, but it looked like they had bought a nice big bed for Gavin, some bedding. They explained that the carpet had been ripped up, and I saw that the tile, and then there was... The floorboards had been fixed so that it could be dust-free, and there was some kind of air conditioning, air filtration device right outside the window. And then a hose and a hole had been created near the floorboards so that the filtrated air could come in. And they had bought a big television and a DVD player.
Okay, and was that for Gavin's use?
Yes, but I believe the whole family would sit on the bed in there and watch it.
Okay, after you made that charitable gift to the did any member of the family start asking you for money?
Yes.
Who was that?
David.
How often did that occur?
Within 2 weeks of having given him the first check, and very often from that point forward.
You know, Ricky, I don't want to really get bogged down in technical issues here, but I think it's so very important that folks understand exactly what the problem with this testimony is in sort of plain English. Let's try to break it down. The idea that this woman testifies about things that would normally be the province of an expert, like somebody under duress, somebody feeling some sort of anxiety because it goes to, as you say, the ultimate issue. What does that mean and why is that so important?
Well, I think that what happens here in the beginning is, in the first piece of testimony that we saw, is that the prosecution is trying to set the stage about this false imprisonment. And, of course, they charge that the mother is a victim of this false imprisonment. So, yes, her state of mind would be relevant. There's no question about that. But we change horses here when we get to this particular section of testimony, because this section of testimony is admissible. This is, she gave a gift She went over there, and she saw that it was being used for the benefit of the child. This is very bad testimony for Michael Jackson.
Well, is it, though?
No,
because aren't the
that.
folks going to be... Go ahead, Howard.
I don't agree with it because to me it shows that she is an easy mark, another mark.
Exactly
she
my
gave the
point.
money.
She did it spontaneously.
She was conned by the family.
That's right.
That's a good argument.
used Gavin
That's
to get
going to
money
be
from her.
That's going to
if
be...
the money went to help a sick child. He had cancer. He was in the hospital.
It didn't go for his medical expenses.
No, it went
It went for
TV,
his
It went for the family, the TV and the DVD.
But
No, I don't buy that
in
here.
service, in fairness to the idea of being conned, that's certainly the defense point of view. The prosecution will say she gave it out of the goodness of her heart, which she actually corroborates. Can't stop those defense attorneys. Well, when we return, a loud and ugly confrontation. No, not this one. One with George Lopez. Stay with us.
Reenactments and commentary in this program may contain frank talk of a sexual nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back. Comedian Louise Palanker gave the accuser's family $10,000, actually more than that. But where did the money go? Did it go up in smoke? No, it's not what you think. Here's what happened according to the courtroom transcripts.
So tell me how he would do that. How would he approach you for money?
He would say, I don't remember the exact words, but it would be along the lines of, you know, we're really strapped and we're not going to be able to make rent. And he would, I don't know if this is hearsay or not, but he would tell me that Janet had spent all the money.
Did he tell you what Janet had spent all the money on?
He told me she was going crazy, and she had spent the money on votive candles and things of that nature, praying.
Did you believe that she'd spent $10,000 on votive candles?
No, I didn't.
Programming note, the David that you heard mentioned in this witness's testimony earlier is the father of the accuser. Next, Palanker saw her charity turn into a bottomless pit.
At some time, did you give this second check that you've identified to the...
Yes. I explained to him that I could gift them each $10,000 per year without being taxed on it. And when he asked me for a second check, I realized I needed to put some boundaries on the situation. So I told him I could gift him $10,000, as I'd already gifted Janet $10,000. And then that would have to be it.
Okay.
And I would tell him, you're going to have to... Towards the end of, I would say, 4 to 5 months into Gavin's illness, I would repeatedly tell him, you're going to have to figure out how to get your family back into balance and go back to work or make this work for everyone, because I'm not going to be able to give you any more money.
Were you concerned about the finances?
I was